Hello everyone and welcome. You all must have noticed the title well, and it is self-explanatory in a sense. The video is pretty much about science, but certainly not in the way you think, because facts, equations, numbers, laws and rules are available everywhere on the World Wide Web. I will be putting down the links of all the resources that were helpful for me throughout the process. I'm going to talk about the effect that science has made on the world as a single entity and the effect it has caused on me as a person, how it shaped my personality in brief, and some aspects about science which I think not many people explore or discuss about. Science has garnered a lot of attention over the recent years from all people who are and are not related professionally to science. Its significant influence on every single field is being highly noticed and respected in the 21st century. Let us explore some unseen points in these science topics that will follow in the video and attempt to understand our lives and the role that science plays in the process. Let's begin. Now that the video is about science, let's try to explore something about science and figure out what it is. We celebrate Science Day on 28th of February every year in order to commemorate the achievements and sacrifices that the Indian scientists made for the advancement of science in India and in the world. We will shortly see why this is so, but for now, let's start from the basic. Science is interpretation of data in terms of formula, forming theories on the basis of observations, and mostly it's related to maths. Yes? No. Science is including but not limited to this. The definition goes as this: the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of physical and natural world through observation and experiment. This is the basic definition of science. Now one might think that the subject is expanded from previous idea and is now limited to the definition above. It is not just through observation and experiment, but it is a way of seeing reality as it is without any prejudice or preconceived notion and understanding how and why the reality has been working so far like it does. Some people call science an arrogant attempt to explain reality constructed by a divine power, and hence it is a denial of divinity. We need to understand that this is not science. And people who pursue science are not arrogant or ignorant. We all get a life to find out its meaning through means, through systems, and hence science can be seen in almost everything. In further sections, we will explore more questions regarding the journey of science. Does science fiction matter? Instead of a binary answer, let's look at the extent of our answer with a perspective. So, what is science fiction? It is something generated from our figments of imagination. We run our brains behind a certain set of thoughts, entertain some possibilities, and try to imagine and project to other people what our world would look like if the concepts were to be realized. People thought of different kinds of things that they wanted to be real. They wanted to read minds, predict future. They wanted to be able to talk to any person in any corner of the world or all people in this world at the same time. Run or move faster than the fastest animals on land. Move faster than the fastest swimmer in water. Fly in the sky for long distances. People dream and they dream a lot of things. Many of them fictional things became the inspiration for scientists, inventors all around the world. Many worked tiring hours back to back so that we could live in the world like it is today. So yes, science fiction matters as we are only limited by our hesitance and lack of imagination. Fiction should be a daily practice because only if something is imagined can it become a reality. At least a possibility exists. Remember, even science evolved after huge imagination of a universally advanced civilization. Can fiction be realized? I'll give you a couple of examples through which I can prove that fiction can be realized. In early 1920s, Nikola Tesla, one of the great scientists, imagined that people could talk to each other from different corners of the world. And today, we are using mobile phones, online meeting like never imagined before. We only have to believe in the notion that science will keep on advancing and we must have to adapt to problems and situations and invent or discover the solution. We imagined that we will have to do minimum work to travel maximum distances possible. And then we saw cars running on the streets in a span of 3 to 4 decades. We imagined that we can swim faster than most of the sea creatures, and we are in the boats, keeping us floating rapidly over the surface and safe from predators. Also, since the invention of flying vessels such as balloons, planes, space shuttles, we are able to be anywhere on the earth and in the space as long as we are alive in the space. We never knew what is there inside a body, but through tomography, X-rays and other imaging techniques, we were able to diagnose almost all of diseases, which enabled us to be saved from death most of the times. Not really a fictional thing, but we imagined that we would be able to record a memory and frame it so that we will not feel isolated from our past memorable moments. And we had cameras invented. Then still photography was soon converted into dynamic videography, and now we are able to see masterpieces of film and television. Now let's go to comic books. Iron Man's repulsor blast, Captain America's shield with very strong alloys such as titanium gold alloy, real jetpack like in the game Jetpack Joyride are some of the examples where fiction and reality are merged into one another. So, the fiction, most of it, can be realized. We can make either an entertaining reality or an application-based reality. Can anybody ever be fully right? At one point of time, people thought that only gods had the right to let humans have the fire, the water, the rain, and the cycle of life, etc. etc. The ancient scholars suggested different types of mechanisms that enabled people to understand that they were right and the world works how those scholars told us, at least for a period of time. Later, after a couple of centuries, people started questioning the old statements of the truth. Then the mechanism of rain, the carbon cycle, why something works best the way it does and not the other way. All the questions were asked by the medieval scientists, and they started upgrading the truth with the help of experiments and observations. We literally have to spend many years of our lives in order to observe how the tree spends its lives, how the tidal cycle works, how a large amount of solar energy is emitted every 11 years, which is called coronal mass ejection. We can only approach the truth. Sometimes the pace is slow, sometimes it is a rapid process. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Are we always supposed to be wrong or incomplete? Yes. Science advances mostly by this mechanism. Someone claims something and provide necessary evidence to support the claim. People accept it as a theory. After some time, some people find exceptions to that theory. If the exceptions are few, then the theory is kept as it is. But if there are numerous cases where a particular theory doesn't hold good enough, then the theory has to be either modified or discarded. A new theory then emerges to surface after several modifications and assumptions, and this new theory is usually accepted. Even you can make a theory and claim to be right about something. But for scientific and human evolution, trial and error is a universal method. The more trials and errors you make, more weight is gained by the theory, and it's backed up by evidence which is acceptable and not some jargon. That is why, in this case, all science enthusiasts are supposed to be wrong at some point of time in their lives, so that science keeps advancing through rigorous research and analysis. Does science have any end? It is often stated that wherever science ends, spirituality begins. But this is either a misconception or a propaganda to ensure the pockets of gurus being lined up for as long as possible. For every science adventure or achievement, There is always someone, a community, a cult, a sect that are ready to disregard or arrogantly discredit scientific achievements and treat them as a waste of time. These people are also ready to go whatever lengths to put science down against their religious guesswork. I understand that everybody loves to feel that their knowledge is the most accurate one, and even more so, other people have little or no knowledge at all as compared to themselves. But there is an old saying, if you are smartest person in the room, then probably you are in the wrong room. The proponents in the modern era of Vedic and biblical texts, I'd rather call them the marketing agents. They very much find peace in proving science wrong, slow, inaccurate, imperfect, etc. in front of public domain and on social media. They have got unrestricted access. Every time I scroll through these pages, I find that there are at least 1,000 people opposing one genuine person who is trying to understand or explain certain segment of reality. But there are several ways to stop and prevent people from finding the truth and outing it to the public. Many of you might want to ask the reason I'm expanding so much around each and every point, because we are talking about science, and just like any other subject, it does not end on yes, no, true, false, binary things. It always has more to explain than what's being seen or heard. So no, science does not have an end, because finding the truth is a never-ending process for a single human being. It is never the case that once some fact or formula is formed, then it becomes the final truth. It is not a quick process, as it may require several generations, centuries, and countless people with their enormous efforts to achieve a particular goal. Hence, it should be understood that science doesn't have an end, and all of us must make sure that science doesn't end. Why is science necessary? In order to understand reality, to know every how and the why of working of the universe, to understand the behavior of any object, atom, subatomic particle, to eliminate superstition, and to spread awareness in people regarding science and everyday life, to assure them that they are safe in the hands of science and it is not ruled by any god or religion, and purely based on intuition, experiments, trial and errors, and fighting the stigma and dogmatic powerful people for the benefit of society and betterment of the world we are living in. We need science to fight untreatable diseases, eradicating the treatable ones, increasing lifespan of human species, understand the depths of the universe, explore and inhabit new planets, harness the power of a star fully, and to bring peace. Science is necessary. What are we without science? We would still be primitive or below average human beings, doing hard work for simple daily tasks, wasting a lot of time, energy behind getting one job done. And without science, we would be sacrificing our lives for treatable diseases, would not be able to communicate globally, would not be able to connect to people, explore this world through means of technology. Without science, we cannot evolve, we cannot survive, we cannot thrive. And hence, I would say, without science, we would very much not be alive today. I know that I have not covered all points and all the adventures and achievements about science. This video otherwise would be extremely long and it would be a tiring task to watch it. So I'd like to conclude by saying that science will take us ahead to an advanced civilization and it can ensure the survival of our human race. So thank you very much for watching this video till the end. I'll show a clip in which I have mentioned the inventors and inventions that have enhanced humanity.